Hello,
Just do it.
everybody.
Yes, it'll turn out okay. We are back for another part of our trilogy miniseries. Today, we were talking about last week. Last time we talked about the so-called beginning of the multiverse, but now we're talking about the true beginning of the MCU, the Iron Man trilogy.
Yeah, Iron Man. Yeah, it's crazy because I saw on Facebook like saying that Iron Man came out 15 years ago, the original. Holy crap, that was 15 years ago. That makes me feel old knowing in 5 more years they will turn 20. Holy crap, I feel old.
I know.
Yeah, like I remember the first Iron Man came out when I was in the 8th grade. It came out right around the end of my 8th grade year. I remember everybody was talking about it. Everybody was saying, "Oh man, Iron Man, that movie was great." But I didn't get around to seeing it at the movie theater. But yeah, when I finally eventually saw it, yeah, I thought that was great. Rewatching it now, it's kind of weird seeing Robert Downey Jr. so much younger,
Yeah,
but yeah.
was this like one of his big comebacks or something after his
Yes,
he
it
had
was.
downfall?
Yeah, yeah, and so that's actually why that was a huge risk to cast him in the first place. Hey, Schnick, what's up? But yeah, so that's why that it was a huge risk, like to cast him. It was because at that time he was just getting off of all of like these legal issues that he had, and so it was a risk to cast him. Like before Robert Downey Jr., uh, I heard that it almost was going to be Tom Cruise, but for whatever reason that just didn't work out. And
Was he
nothing.
like busy with the was it the Impossible series or something? Maybe.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it could have been because he was too busy with Mission Impossible or something else. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, so instead the role went to Robert Downey Jr. And I mean, the first Iron Man was a pretty big risk because Iron Man wasn't one of the more popular superheroes. I mean, yeah, some people knew who he was, but he was nowhere near as popular as Spider-Man or Batman. But now I feel like because of the Robert Downey Jr. movies, Iron Man now is one of the most popular superheroes out there. And I'm going to be honest, before the first Iron Man movie came out, I never even knew who Iron Man even was.
Yeah, me either. I mean, I saw him a few times in cameos of other stuff like Spider Man in the '90s, but really, it was not really. It was in my main media either.
Yeah, exactly. And so, this movie was a pretty big risk, but I feel like because they actually made a good movie is why that it paid off. And Robert Downey Jr. was just so perfect as that role, and so it became a huge hit. You see, this is how you do a cinematic universe right. You have to give us a good movie first, focus on just that movie first. A lot of movie studios need to take note on that because when they tried doing that with Batman v Superman, it failed. When they tried doing that with the Tom Cruise Mummy, ironic enough, because it's Tom Cruise.
Because they tried to put too many things in there at one time instead of
Yeah,
building it up.
yeah, exactly. Like with the Tom Cruise Mummy, they were way too focused on making other movies ahead, like Creature from the Black Lagoon and all that, which is fine if you want to set up a cinematic universe, but you have to make us care first. And Marvel showed how you do it right. So yeah, I still remember when JetX did an all-night marathon. Yeah, I actually never even knew that there even was a '90s Iron Man cartoon. So
Neither did I,
around
and I lived in the '90s.
ah, I had no idea that they even did that at that time.
Yeah,
But yeah, but yeah, do you remember the first time that you ever saw the first Iron Man?
yeah. I think I saw it in the theaters, or I saw it afterwards. But yeah, it was. I saw one. around Iron Man 1 or Iron Man 2 times.
Okay.
I hadn't been hooked yet at that point. I'm like, oh, cool, another Marvel movie, and then I think it happened. I think it happened before, obviously, with other movies, maybe. But Marvel started doing the thing, started doing the either the mid or end credits bonus. They keep wait.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, of course, there were movies before, Iron Man and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, like that did the whole post-credit scene. But Marvel truly was the one who popularized that, though. And so, at this point, if anyone's gonna leave a Marvel movie, like right when the credits ends, I'm like, really? You should know the drill by now. Wait until the post credit scene, because it's like the go-to thing now, like for
Yeah,
Marvel.
the
And
only time the only time where it was bad, I think, was the end of Homecoming. They're like, we tricked you. Bye. Captain America's like,
yeah,
hi.
yeah, and but yeah, Iron Man came out just a few months before the it came out just a few months before the Dark Knight came out. So yeah, 2008, as far as superhero movies goes, it was a fantastic year, for superhero films, because we had Iron Man, we had the Dark Knight. There was the Incredible Hulk shortly after Iron Man, but
That was
reviews
like
kind of mixed on that one.
yeah, the Hulk was more like a reboot sequel thing. It was a continuation of the one they had for a few years before, kinda, but also not.
Yeah, and I remember when that movie came out, a lot of people at my school were confused, thinking that it was a sequel to the other one. So
Because really, in that movie, they told pretty much the whole series of what happened in the first movie. Kind of, they skipped his origin story completely. Just he's right the Hulk now. But
which
anyway, that's it.
I think doing that probably was for the best, because sitting through the Amazing Spider-Man, going through the origin yet again, it felt kind of tedious, and it felt pretty rushed. So I think doing it that way was for the better anyway.
Okay, so
So yeah,
all right, so we begin the movie, and the first part of the movie is really a flashback. You know, we started an explosion, and then we go back 2 days to see what happened, why stuff exploded.
hmm
What's that called? Like it's a flashback, or what's that called in movie terms?
uh, you're talking about like the whole origin thing in the Incredible Hulk, right?
No, Iron Man.
Montage.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, yeah. The
Yeah,
beginning of Iron Man movie, we see him blowing up or something, but then we
yeah,
go
yeah,
back 3 days.
yeah. I'm pretty sure that montage is the word that you're searching for. So yeah, yeah. I mean, how do you feel knowing that the first Iron Man is 15 years old now?
Old.
It makes me feel old too. Like, damn, that was almost 20 years ago. Damn, that doesn't feel right.
Yeah. Let's see. We start the movie out with Tony Stark. He's a rich, smart playboy. He invents stuff and sleeps with women. That's what he does.
Doesn't that sound familiar? Like some other superhero out there, the like who's rich, playboy, and gets all the ladies.
Yeah. Yeah. But he apparently he makes weapons. His father made weapons. He makes weapons, and he goes to sell them to the American military. Like, okay, people do that, right?
Uh huh.
Then he drunks. He sleeps with girls, and then his what's it called, assistant or secretary or whatever comes out and okay, be a good girl, go home now. To his conquest of the night.
Yeah.
So he goes with his best friend Rhodey. This trying played by somebody else. They changed actors later. They do that a lot in Marvel movies.
Yeah, and I know that they did the same thing like with Edward Norton, but as far as I know, the reason why they did it for Edward Norton primarily is because Edward Norton kind of has a reputation for being pretty hard to work with on set. So that's why. As far as the guy from Iron Man, I'm not entirely sure why he was recast. I mean, maybe perhaps Schnick or someone else in the live chat might have that knowledge for why he was recast.
I think because of money or something, maybe.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Because if I remember correctly,
yeah.
at the time he made more money than Robert Downey Jr. But in the second movie, Robert Downey was more famous. He's like, I need to get more money too. Like, no, you're not as famous anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds about right.
But yeah, so
Yeah, and one of the things I love about the first Iron Man, it's that scene where he's inside the cave, I believe, and then like he makes this, and then like he makes that suit like completely on his own. So yeah, yeah, and it also was interesting to see. It also was interesting to see Jeff Bridges in that movie because usually he doesn't play like the bad guy in a movie, so that was nice.
oh yeah, oh yeah. So we go that this is we go to Afghanistan. This is during the when we're still at war back then, and all of a sudden Tony's Fun V is sabotaged and blows up, causing him to have a shrapnel on his heart. So the doctor puts a big magnet in there powered by a car battery. One of those one of those, I guess, what's it called, like medical surgeries,
Yeah,
cave surgery things, right?
yeah,
So they're like, okay, hey, you build us a Jericho missile. That's what they call it, Jericho. But yeah, they said, okay. So it's like, you know what? Instead of doing that, I'm going to build a battery for my heart.
yeah, and what I loved about Iron Man is that there are so many superheroes who will go out of the way, like to try to hide their secret identity. But then Iron Man came along, and then he revealed to everybody. I believe at that, I believe right at the end, he revealed like that he is Iron Man. So yeah, so it was nice like to finally see that cliche, broken because that is a cliche in so many superhero movies like that. Oh, we have to hide our identity, but nope. Iron Man comes along, boom.
A lot of that thing I saw the difference between DC and Marvel is a lot of the Marvel characters, you know what their secret identity is already. It's out, it wasn't
Yeah,
out in the open.
yeah, like with the exception of Spider-Man, but Spider-Man made a few exceptions, like say in Spider-Man No Way Home, and
Yeah, we saw why he had a secret identity. Then
yeah,
why
so
sometimes you need to have it.
yeah, definitely, yeah. So yeah, I believe every hero in DC has their identity, hidden, but I believe except Wonder Woman. I mean, it'll be really hard for her to hide hers because she's not wearing a mask; it's just her face.
Yeah.
Junebug, hey, how's it going? But yeah,
Yeah.
and
Well, well, it's still, well, technically neither is Superman. But like, oh my
yeah,
God, who is he? Where's he go? Where'd Clark
yeah,
go?
yeah, that was a secret identity that I never bought. Like, look, who's gonna be this stupid? Oh, Eric, where are you? Yeah, and so there was like this college humor Batman parody of that. Oh man, it was so funny. I'm confused easily. Oh yeah. So anything else left to say about the original
Let's
Iron
see.
Man?
Let's see. Now let's try and try and go through what happened in the movie in the pits. What later we find out that his assistant tried to capture him and kill him for ransom of money to take over Stark Industry, Obadiah Stone. So he escapes. He built the first armor prototype. He destroys all the stuff all the weapons around him with his suit, but his friend gets killed, obviously. And we like he goes home. First thing he says, "I want a cheeseburger." But yeah, so then we spend the next 30 minutes of the movie or so for him building his new suit, upgraded, paint, testing everything out with his big garage, thrusters, arm cannons, everything. He just like built it piece by piece and records it like okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this right. So he experiments. He does stuff. He experiments. He tries stuff out. He tests things. He makes mistakes. He's like, how high can this thing go? He goes in the stratosphere. Like, okay, that's too high. He freezes and falls back down again. He's pushing all the limits. Meanwhile, his friend is like, I'm taking over your company. Bye. It's my company now. But then this guy appears named Phil Coulson and says, "Hi, we need to talk about you about something." And that right there was the start of it was the start of the whole MCU.
Yeah, pretty much. And it's crazy because I don't really think anybody had a clue what was to come afterwards. Like, after this movie, like pretty much the biggest film franchise ever came out of this. I mean, the Marvel Cinematic Universe now has beaten Star Wars, like, as far as financial success. And that's saying a lot because myself and a lot of other people didn't ever think there would be a franchise that ever would make more money than that. So,
And now they're both owned by the same people.
yep, which is totally ironic. And yeah, and I mean, I certainly at that time never thought that this would start like the biggest film franchise in, like in history as far as it goes. But yeah, this film pretty much made film history.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And this right here also goes to show that, with people like Robert Downey Jr., like who have a bad past of like the law and all that, as long as you're still alive, you still have that chance to redeem yourself. And
Oh yeah.
and even for the director, like John Favreau, at that time he was only known for like directing Elf. So even getting John Favreau like to be the director of this was also a pretty big risk. But yeah, John Favreau, I'm a fan of him, minus the Lion King remake. I mean, I think he's a pretty solid director, minus that. But
Yeah. But yeah, not only is he the director, he puts himself. He's in the movie too.
yep,
He's the bodyguard.
yeah, I believe his character's name's Happy Hogan, which he also reprised his role in Spider-Man No Way Home, and I believe he was
All
in Far From Home as well.
he was in all the three. He was in all three Spider-Man movies.
Okay, yeah, I thought so. Yeah, which I mean, it it's very common, like for directors, like to star in their own movies. I mean, heck, I have done the exact same thing. So
Shit. Yeah. Then we get
As
the
much,
famous. Yeah. So basically, Tony rebuilt. He rebuilt his dad's art technology, which was the power source, but he makes it small. And there's that line in the movie that they replay in Far From Home. He's like, "We can't make the thing any smaller." That guy's like, "Tony made this in the cave of a box of scraps." The guy says, "Well, I'm not Tony."
so I guess there's not much really else to say about Iron Man. You know, the original movie is a classic. It's definitely one of the most important films ever made.
Yeah, I mean, when we do get the first villain in the series, the Ironmonger. That's his name.
In the first one, right?
Yeah, it's basically an evil Iron Man with a big thick thing, which
Yep.
they beat by blowing him up after he falls from the sky. He's like, I like that. He says, I can do anything you can do, Tony." Like, oh, okay. How do you deal with the freezing thing up in the atmosphere? Like, what freezing thing? Oh, I guess you haven't then. Bye bye.
Yep. And yeah, and then well, I guess time to talk about Iron Man 2.
Oh yeah. Oh, then before we do that, I forgot the end credits where he says, "I am Iron Man." You know, and here comes Nick Fury, Samuel Jackson.
Yeah, and which about that line when he says I am Iron Man, I really feel like that line like had payoff. Spoilers for Avengers Endgame. I really feel like that line came in full circle during that moment, like when Iron Man sacrificed himself. I am inevitable, and I am Iron Man. Boom! I swear that is one of the most epic, one of the most badass scenes in movie history. And you know, and it just adds to it knowing that in the first Iron Man he said, "I am Iron Man," and then you know one of his last lines was the exact same thing. So it's just perfect.
Yeah, but I think also different line, but I think Fury says, "You have entered a world that something about you have entered a world bigger than yourself." At the end of Iron Man 1, he walked into the room with the iPads, and that was the introduction of Samuel Jackson in the series.
Yep. And then the rest is history. But yeah,
Yes, but
I'm certainly not against having post credit scene. I mean, heck, I have done the exact same thing like in my last two movies. So yeah, and there's probably going to be a post credit scene in the third pissed off movie.
like,
There probably will be.
so are you creating your own off topic of this movie? Are you creating your own like cinematic universe, the pissed off universe?
Pretty much, yeah, pretty much. And so, I mean, even though that the fourth movie is planned on, well, to make myself clear, I am not planning on like ending the series all in all after the fourth movie. The series will still go on, but it's just for feature length movies. I do want to do other things. So, but yeah, we certainly do plan on having it be like a cinematic universe. Like you know, there have even been talks of like doing like a things that piss Simba off. A thing
Maybe the
that piss
genie guy can
Simba
get his
off.
own. The genie can get his own series.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. Things
standalone.
that piss Genie off, things that piss Mustache Lady off. So
But anyways,
yeah, we went a little
we
bit off
go to
topic.
the second movie. It's been I don't know how long it's been a little while.
The first Iron Man was 2008. The second was 2010. So 13 years ago now.
Yeah, but I mean, I know how long it's been in movie universe because
Yeah, in movie universe, I would imagine the same amount of time, but maybe I am wrong.
yeah. But we go, and the government wants Tony's tech,
I can see why.
and he's like, no. So here comes the first villain,
Yeah,
the comedy villain,
yeah.
Justin Hammer.
He was played by Mickey Rooney.
No, not the other, not him. The other, the the not the main villain, the comedy villain.
Okay, it's been a really long time since I've seen Iron Man 2, so you might have to refresh in my memory on that.
His name was Justin Hammer. He was the boss of Hammer Tech. He was the opposing company of Tony of Stark Industries.
Okay, the main thing I remember about Iron Man 2 like was that the bad guy had like those whips,
Yeah,
and then he was introduced during that scene with like the NASCARs, which I thought was cool.
yeah. But this other guy, he got him out of jail. This guy got him out of jail after the whip thing, and he let him build the robots.
Okay.
So he's like he was like the technical opponent. What's it called? Competitor. He's a competitor of Stark Industries. And he tried to build things. He's like, he sucked at it because he's no Tony Stark. So then we go to Europe and get the racing scene where Whiplash, I think his name was Whiplash. Yeah, it's Tax.
That was his name, yeah.
And so he goes. He's powered by the same technology, but obviously fails. He gets arrested, and the other guy brings him out of jail and it's like, "You build me a suit, I get." He's like, "Okay, build you a suit." He didn't. He built himself a suit and built robots.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah.
But anyways,
sorry. Yeah, I believe Iron Man 2 was like the first introduction of. I believe that was the first time you ever saw Black Widow in the Marvel Cinematic.
Oh yeah, I was getting to that eventually.
Universe as well. So yeah. Before this, I don't really think Scarlett. I mean, was Scarlett Johansson really known for anything else?
She not by any major things. She was in Home Alone 3.
She was?
Yeah.
Holy crap, I had no idea that she was in that movie. Maybe I have to rewatch it because I haven't seen Home Alone 3 since I was a kid, so maybe I need to go back and rewatch it.
Yeah, she was the little boy's big sister.
Wow, I mean, puberty definitely hit her good.
Yeah. And she was also in a movie called Eight-Legged Freaks.
Oh, yeah! She was in that movie. Yeah, oh, man. That's a movie, it's a movie like that knows what it is. So, yeah, it's pretty much like a big budget B movie, pretty much. Yeah, Eight-Legged Freaks. I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah. Yeah, she was a. But I think this was like one of her. She probably has other stuff too, but I think that this was her like first major, one of her long time first, one of the big role that she was in.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's like she was famous at that time, but doing the Marvel movies definitely made her a lot more so.
But yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, then we got the subplot because the element in Tony's arc reactor is killing him. Because it's a poisonous element, kind of like radium or polonium. It was polonium, I think. It was like uranium, whatever. It was radioactive, and the longer he had it in the system, the more he was dying.
Okay.
So Tony's got drunk. He's like, oh. Then he gave his company over to Pepper. He's like, he's like, I'm just gonna run the company for you. He's like, that's a good idea. You run it for me. And pretty much he signed up with the company, the Pepper. So now she's the CEO just going forward. And we get the funniest thing where he's training with Happy. He's like, uh, Nat comes in. And he's like, "Oh, you two fight." Like, okay, and Nat just took him down like this, like that, with their training. So, we find out some backstories. We find out that his dad, Howard, started Shield. He's one of the founding members.
Yeah, and then and then 2 years later, there was like the Agents of Shield TV show. But yeah, it seems like not a lot of people even remember that show anymore. And I
I love
think,
that show.
yeah, yeah, I haven't ever seen it, so I can't really say anything. But yeah, it just seems like that show is just forgotten about because no one really ever talks about it anymore.
Well, until the last two seasons, it was pretty good. But then they got
You all right?
they got the time travel and stuff, so it all complicated.
Yeah, and from what I've heard, I heard that show is no longer canon to the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it's like
Well,
whatever thing, I guess.
yeah, that's the part I hate the most. But then again, with the multiverse, what is canon
Yeah,
anymore?
yeah, exactly. I mean, well, with the multiverse, you really can't do anything that you want, which is exactly why that I decided to have the multiverse in my things that piss me off series because the multiverse just brings in so many possibilities like that you can do pretty much whatever you want with it. So yeah.
So we go back to the movie, and Tony's watching the old clips of old movies of his dad, like old 8-track films or real films, and his dad built like what's it called, like Stark Tech or the World's Fair thing, like that we have in real life. And he found out that the fair setup was like the blueprint of a brand new, never before discovered element. And he and Tony's technology, he made the element a reality, which now powers his suit, and not is not poisonous. And then we get a little cameo too there, where the Captain America shield is like, "You have that, yeah." And then then Phil leaves. Says, "I gotta do something about Hammer in New Mexico," with subplot of future Thor movie.
Yeah,
Like you said,
yeah,
they laid little bit clues here and there for future movies that they like relate blatantly.
and yeah, Iron Man 2 came out in 2010, and then Thor and Captain America: The First Avenger came out just a year afterwards. And then in the first Captain America, you actually see the father of Tony Stark, so it's then you see his father again in Avengers Endgame for a very emotional scene. So yeah,
So yeah, uh, we also get the introduction of War Machine.
yeah, War Machine, classic.
But this time he's right now he's called the Iron Patriot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we then go to the Stark. We go to the Stark thing. Uh, the Hammer, Justin Hammer comes there to show off his new technology, which he doesn't know has been hijacked or hacked by Ivan. Russian name. I can't remember his name. But yeah, so the guy attacks the Stark Expo, and we get a little cameo. We don't know it at the time, but it's later on. It's post. I guess it's post credited now. That little boy
Oh, I know what
in the
you're
movie
talking
is.
about. Yeah, and so from what I heard, that was supposed to be just a fan theory, but then afterwards, the filmmakers then confirmed yes, that is supposed to be young Peter Parker, which is perfect. You know, it's so perfect, like for the movies afterwards. So yeah, I believe that's one of the few times where a fan theory actually came true. The other one that I can come up with, coincidence, just by coincidence, it also has to do with Spider-Man. Was with Spider-Man No Way Home. There was a fan theory going on like that Andrew Garfield Spider-Man was gonna save Zendaya's MJ, and what do you know? That fan theory came true as well.
Oh yeah. So obviously they win, obviously, and then at the end of the movie, another credit scene where they're uh, it's like you picking Iron Man, but not Tony. Like you want Iron Man, but not Tony Stark. Like I'm like no, I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
But yeah, but you also back to back to Hulk real fast. Tony makes an appearance in that movie where
Yes, he does. Yeah.
where the generals like all depressed and stuff. Tony walks in. I got a job for you.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong. We never heard about the bad guy from the second Iron Man ever again. We never saw him ever again. So
I think he blew up in the movie.
yeah, I mean, it's been a really long time ever since I've seen the movies. So I guess that would explain why. But yeah, I haven't seen this ever since I saw it at the movie theater actually. So
Yeah. Well, lucky it's on Disney. Lucky it's on Disney Plus. Just
okay, yeah, I mean, it would make sense if it's on Disney Plus. And I actually heard that they are gonna finally put some of the Sony Spider-Man movies on there, but just not all of them. Like I believe Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 are gonna be going on there. I don't know about. I think the first Amazing Spider-Man is. I don't know about. But yeah, the rest of them I'm not entirely sure.
speaking I gotta watch the first Miles. I need to go watch the first Miles cartoon, Miles Morales Spider-Man series.
Yeah. The one that you're talking about is Into the Spider Verse, right?
Yeah, I gotta watch it before I watch the new one.
Yeah, honestly, I'll go as far as saying that Into the Spider Verse is the best Spider-Man movie that I have ever seen. I mean, heck, pretty much because of that movie, is the reason why we got No Way Home. So yeah,
Yeah, I heard. I also heard that Tom Holland's make a cameo in the new movie.
yeah, I heard the same thing. From what I heard, Tom Holland, Andrew Garfield, and Tobey Maguire were supposed to make cameos in Into the Spider Verse, but that didn't work out. And to be honest, I think it was a lot better, like for all of them to appear in No Way Home anyway.
But I heard he's gonna make it. He's gonna make an appearance, or they're gonna talk. They're gonna mention him or something at least.
Yeah, yeah, probably. I mean, with the multiverse, it certs. It certainly can happen now, and I believe there was Loki. Like, wasn't it the Loki TV show? Well, like that introduced the multiverse.
Yeah,
I thought so. Yeah.
but anyways, let's get to the final the trilogy. This takes place after Avengers, and Tony has PSP PTSD.
Yep.
Like, oh, like, because really, aliens invaded the world, and like you ride a missile up in space, and fall down. I think that could affect you a little bit.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it'll be really hard, like to even tell a therapist that. Like, a therapist would have a hard time, having a client like who saved the world from aliens. So yeah.
But yeah, so he goes to a therapist, which we find out later. This whole movie is him telling the story of what happened.
Yeah, and yeah, I remember myself and so many other people. We were so hyped for Iron. We were so hyped up like for Iron Man 3, and then the movie came out, and a lot of people were disappointed. And
I looked this up late. Anyways, he goes, and this is the first appearance, the time people hated, of what apparently was Tony Stark's big enemy, the Mandarin. Supposed to be his big.
yeah, the Mandarin, and that exactly was the issue that a lot of people had with Iron Man 3. Like, was the Mandarin, like, like with that big whole plot twist with the Mandarin. So many people took issue with that. I heard there was like some short film they made afterwards, to try to reconcile the fans with that. So yeah,
Because apparently he's like a big time enemy in the comics of Iron Man.
yeah, definitely, and that's exactly why so many people took issue with that. And so yeah, so I can understand that because a lot of people have said like that the Mandarin pretty much is Iron Man's equivalent to like the Joker. So I can really see why a lot of people took issue with that. And
To making him just like an actor in Hollywood.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
the real villain is this again. The same thing. Those first two movies, to like a tech guy opponent that Tony pissed off when he was younger.
Yeah, exactly. And one other issue with the movie is that it's set around Christmas, but there's not really like a whole lot of Christmas themes to it. So it's like, hey, what's the point to having this whole Christmas being set at Christmas if you're not really going to do anything with it? And it's weird to have it set around Christmas when it was released in May of 2013. So that's pretty weird to do that. So
At least with No Way Home, at the end was Christmas. It made kind of some kind of sense.
yeah, and No Way Home, yeah, and No Way Home like was released December 17th. So, so it did make sense, but yeah, I feel like that you could cut the whole thing about Christmas out of the movie and it wouldn't affect it whatsoever. So, I will admit, yes, that definitely was an issue.
Oh yeah. So we find out that this guy is making a formula that apparently regrows limbs, which is good, but unless you're really focused and stuff, it will blow you up.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
and
technically sorry.
oh, sorry, yeah, and we might be jumping ahead a little bit, but yeah, from what I remember when I saw at the movie theater, Iron Man's like thing in his heart like gave out, and then he like threw it away, and I don't believe they ever addressed that again in future movies, which was kind of weird. But
Oh
I mean,
yeah, at the end he gets the surgery. So he doesn't need the thing to survive anymore. He just needs to power his suits now.
so then if that's the case, then why in future movies do you see him with the thing on his chest anyway?
I think that's because I think that by that point he has a nano suit. Then it just grows by itself.
Oh, okay, well, okay, well, if if that's the case, I mean that totally does make sense. It just after I saw that at the movie theater, then when I saw future movies, I was like, wait, why is it not addressed and why does he have the thing again? So I was just really, really confused about that. So yeah.
Because I don't think he has it when he appears to with Peter in Civil War, but we talk about that next month. But yeah, basically after 10 years, he finally had that surgery to remove the shrapnel. Because right now, the only keeping his heart intact is that the magnet.
Yeah, and I believe Iron Man 3 was the first time like where we ever saw like his girlfriend played by Gwyneth Paltrow. Like, I believe it was the first time we ever saw her in her iron suit. But then we didn't see it again until I believe Avengers Infinity War or Avengers
Endgame.
Endgame, I believe.
But yeah, also we get introduction to someone who makes an appearance later on and at the end of Endgame. But apparently I looked him up. He is a Marvel character, Harley Kiner, Iron Lad in the Marvel universe. A little boy. He's a comic character. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean that's certainly something that I didn't know about either. But yeah, speaking of feeling old, this year actually marks the 10-year anniversary of Iron Man 3. So
Damn. Shit. God. So
crazy, right?
Tony's like, I'm not scared of you. Come at me. So he's like, okay. And he blew up his apartment. He blew up his mansion. And Tony went to Tennessee for a while.
Yeah, and I believe that scene where he blew up his mansion, like where you see all the Iron Man suits blown up. I remember, like in every trailer for this movie, you would see that, and then you would go, "Oh shit, shit's going down."
Oh yeah. So
But yeah, I
so he makes sorry. So he makes friends with the little boy who turns out to be an inventor too. And help them with bullies. So he's like a proto dad to the little kid. Years later happens, follows up with Spider-Man, and then later his own daughter Morgan.
yeah, that one kid in Iron Man 3, I believe that was the same kid who was in the first Jurassic World, and I believe he also was in Sidious, right?
I knew about Jurassic World. I didn't know about City.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I think I think that he was yeah, I think that he was the little kid in the first Insidious. But yeah, anybody in the live chat, if you can confirm that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, but and he also made an appearance at the and he was also at Tony Stark's funeral in Endgame too.
Yeah. He was actually. So yeah,
Let's wonder. I wonder if he was. I wonder if it's off topic, but I wonder if he was blipped or he grew up in that 5 year gap.
I mean it's possible. I mean
It's,
it's certainly possible.
yeah, like I can't find anything Confederate, not Confederate, to confirm it either way. But like if he was, that meant if he was, that means before the blip he was younger than Peter, and after the blip he's older than Peter.
Yeah. So yeah, when you first saw Iron Man 3, what were your thoughts on it?
I thought part of it dragged on a bit at some points.
I did too. I thought it definitely wasn't as good as the first two, which a lot of people were saying that Iron Man 2 wasn't as good. And then, John Favreau directed Iron Man 1 and 2, but he didn't come back for Iron Man 3. Instead, it was directed by Shane Black. I believe Shane Black did direct Robert Downey Jr. before, so yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it. Like by the fact that Jon Favreau doesn't want to be typecast to only directing Iron Man movies. I totally get it. So
I think did he direct all 3 Spider-Man movies?
Jon Favreau.
Yeah,
Uh, do you mean the ones with Tom
yeah.
Holland? No. The ones with Tom Holland like were directed by a guy named John Watts.
Oh, I get the John confused then.
Yeah, makes
But
sense.
he was in the he was in all 3 of them. Well,
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
not
yeah,
his
he
partner.
was. And before the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, the only thing I can think of, like what John Watts directed, John Watts did direct like this horror movie called Clown. Like it's pretty much like a body horror film, like where like where this guy wears this clown costume. And then like the clown costume becomes a part of like his skin. And then he becomes like an evil clown. I gotta admit, the concept of it was pretty cool. I saw the movie itself. I think it's one of the best horror films that I've seen as of recent. But yeah, it's pretty brutal. So yeah. Hey, Land Before Time. How's it going? Nice podcast for Iron Man from 2008. Yeah, man. Makes me
Yeah.
feel old knowing that the first Iron Man's 15 years old.
God. Where does the time go?
Yeah, man. Just zooms on by.
But anyways, we find out later. So this guy kidnaps the president with the help from the vice president, because he's bribing the vice president because his daughter is the vice president's daughter is a amputee. So he's like I can use this stuff. If you let me get this stuff done, I can save your daughter. Like, okay, I'll kill the president for you. I'll become president. But what the guys that tell the vice president is that it's not stable. Like, oh, your daughter might blow up, by giving it to her, but I'm not gonna tell you that part. So they inject the thing. They inject Pepper with the serum, and she survives because he's strong, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, one thing that I just thought of, the first Iron Man, I know that movie like had like that Black Sabbath song "I Am Iron Man," which was the perfect song for that movie. But I kind of do wish that they would have brought that song back for Iron Man 2, and I kind of wish they also would have brought it back for Iron Man 3 as well, because that song is just perfect. Maybe they didn't want to be redundant about it, but
Yeah.
yeah.
So the movie. Sorry.
Sorry.
I would say the movie ends with Tony blowing up all his suits. The bad guy blows up again. Like at the end, all of the Iron Man enemies blow up somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I guess that's a pattern there. But he has the surgery. He throws the away the old heart thing.
Yeah, the heart thing.
And at the end, we find out he's been talking to Bruce this whole time.
Yeah, Bruce. You probably mean Bruce Banner, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
No, Bruce Wayne. He's talking to Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne is in a Marvel movie. Yeah, I guess until Disney buys Warner Brothers and DC, that will never happen. But if it does happen, I mean, could you imagine how much money a Avengers versus Justice League movie would make? That would make bank.
Oh yeah. But that was the end credit scene. It was like, he's like, have I been listening? He fell asleep. He's like, I'm not a therapist. I don't have the mental fortitude for it, the patience for it. But yeah, it's like, and that was our first trilogy of the MCU. Going from
Yeah, pretty much.
going from going from playboy rich technology guy to post traumatic stress disorder hero. And
Yep,
those three.
and yep, and then after that in Avengers Endgame, like that, he sacrifices his own life just to save the whole entire world. So yeah, talk about quite the character arc, and and with all these films, like in between, from the beginning to the end, it makes it so worth it because it feels like as if we went on that journey with every single character throughout this series. So yeah, it makes it worth it, and so many studios need to take note on that. And I heard at one point there were talks of an Iron Man 4, but unless if you want to count Captain America Civil War as both Captain America 3 and Iron Man 4, I guess that's the closest we'll ever get to Iron Man
Yeah,
4. But
yeah, I consider that more of either Captain America or an Avengers movie at that point.
yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I mean, Captain America Civil War, it did feel more like an Avengers movie because it had all the Avengers characters in it, with the exception of the Hulk for some reason.
Well, because he left after he left the planet after Hulk had left the planet after the end of Avengers 2, Age of Ultron. He left the planet to be over to be with Thor later on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're talking about a Thor
Ragnarok.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
the Hulk was already off world. So
Okay, so that makes sense. But yeah, I believe Thor. Yeah, Thor. I think is the only series in the Marvel Cinematic Universe where they actually have gotten like 4 films in their series. But yeah, from what I've heard about Chris Hemsworth as of recent, I heard he has like some gene or whatever that could be deadly. We're probably not going to be seeing Chris Hemsworth in any movies in a while.
yeah, too bad. But
It is, yeah.
I think the little girl in that movie was a relative of his, either his own daughter or his niece or something.
Yeah. But yeah, do you wish that we ever would have gotten a more legit Iron Man 4?
But yeah,
I mean, it would have been nice, but I mean, there are tons of villains from the Iron Man comic books like that we never got to see. So it would have been nice, but I mean, I guess it would have made the fans happy because a lot of fans were not happy with Iron Man 3, but I guess Captain America Civil War and I guess the Avengers movies, I guess that totally made up for it.
oh yeah. So overall, what do you think of the trilogy?
It's a pretty solid series. It's pretty solid, but not perfect. I think that there are trilogies out there that are better, but hard for me to say that. It's because that the original Iron Man, it was such a groundbreaking movie, and just knowing like that how much it changed film history. Because after the Marvel Cinematic Universe, a lot of other studios like were wanting to jump in on the bandwagon, like Iron Man is pretty much the reason why we got Godzilla versus Kong, which was a movie that fans were wanting to see for like decades. And but it's a double-edged sword because of this movie. We also got some crappy movies like the Tom Cruise Mummy, which I mean, to be fair, uh, Marvel actually did not invent the cinematic universe. Marvel like just really popularized it for a whole new generation. The first cinematic universe actually was the Universal Monsters. So, it certainly can be done, like for Universal to reboot their monsters for a shared universe. It's just that they clearly didn't know what they were doing with the Tom Cruise Mummy. So, which is why that now that they're doing all these solo films with the Invisible Man, I've heard talks of like a Wolfman reboot, like with Ryan Gosling. I heard at one point during their Dark Universe, they're gonna have Dwayne the Rock Johnson play the Wolfman. I'm like, okay, the guy's already pretty big, so if he got even bigger to play the Wolfman, it just
I just hope he isn't. I just hope he doesn't like people mad like he did with DC movie.
yeah. You're talking about Black Adam, right?
Yeah.
I heard that was not a very good movie at all.
Yeah, apparently the film people wanted to have Shazam at the end of the movie. Be like, no, I want Superman. Since in the comic books, Black Adam is Shazam's enemy, mortal enemy.
Yeah. So, didn't you see that at the movie theater?
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I was gonna see it at the theater, but I guess I just got too busy at that time. But yeah, I heard it was not a very good movie, and yeah, and now the whole entire DC cinematic universe is going to be rebooted, which I can see why, but it because a lot of their movies were not very good. So yeah, I mean
That's
DC
the
is
one thing.
trying to play
Sorry.
catch up.
That's the one thing about the Marvel universe. It's still going on. Even 15 years later, it hasn't been rebooted yet.
Yeah, it is. I mean, a lot of people will say that the Marvel Cinematic Universe isn't the same after Avengers Endgame. I would agree. The best one, in my opinion, after Endgame definitely has to be No Way Home. And I'm not saying that. And I'm not saying that like just because of Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. I'm saying that because it actually legitimately was a good movie.
It hits you in the heart.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't see the new Ant-Man, but I heard it wasn't that very good.
I saw it. It was okay. It was. I think it might have been better if they had a more a more sadder ending, but also
Yeah,
not. But I don't spoil too much till you see it. But,
I also heard that. I also heard like that Shang-Chi movie wasn't like I heard it wasn't terrible, but I heard it was disappointing. And but yeah, it just seems like a lot of people are starting to agree, saying that the movies afterwards just haven't been the same. I just feel like it's just really hard to continue the series after how Avengers Endgame wrapped it up so perfect.
yeah, they need a new. They're trying to make that new big bag with Kang. They haven't got there yet. They're trying to build it up. But they're not there yet.
Yeah, exactly. So I definitely feel like that they need to rethink a few things. How they're going to continue on the series.
Like I said, but I'm glad they haven't rebooted it yet because they're still going on.
Yeah, I mean, with the multiverse, they certainly can have other versions of the Hulk, other versions of Iron Man, other versions of Captain America, and
as long as they don't have some of the crappier versions of them.
oh gosh, like the Captain America from the '90s from that really crappy movie. Oh gosh. But yeah, so we've gone on for about an hour. So anything left
Yeah.
to
So
say?
yeah. Well, wait. Anybody in chat have any questions for us about the movie? Feel free to ask now. But for you, how's your trilogy coming along?
My trilogy's coming along great. I'm gonna be filming the movie soon once I get like these lenses for the movie. So yeah, not only am I doing my movie, but I actually recently got cast to be in a vampire movie as well. So I'm going to be doing two movies at the same time. I'm going to do a third pissed off movie. I'm going to be the cameraman, and I'm going to be the main bad guy in a vampire movie. So
Are you the vampire or a vampire hunter or a victim?
vampire. So yeah, which I'm excited for because the only movies I've done so far are comedies. So just the fact that I have my chance like to break out of that typecast and be the villain in a vampire movie, I'm excited. But I also am really excited for the third pissed off movie because this is definitely going to be a lot bigger than the other two. I mean, this is going to make the other two. I mean, if you thought that the second movie was better than the first movie, You just wait until the third pissed off movie, and then you just wait until when the fourth one comes out. I mean, the fourth one pretty much is going to be the equivalent of Avengers Endgame, which is ironic because the first pissed off movie was supposed to be like Avengers Endgame, but the fourth movie, okay, yeah, it's definitely going to be the Avengers Endgame of the entire series.
So, are you saying that your kidney guys going to be the next Thanos?
Well, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but you just have to wait and see. But yeah,
like, really, he snapped his gauntlet, and the Earth really is flat now.
Earth is flat. I know the truth. But yeah, there definitely are some surprises for, there definitely are surprises for like the movie version of Kenny. I'm not gonna say what, but you just have to wait and see. But yeah, definitely the funniest part in the second movie. You know, I can say this now because the movie's been out for almost an entire year now. It's during that spoiler, like when Amber Turd's revealed, and then you know Kenny's like this really crazy character, but even Amber Turd makes Kenny look normal. Like during that brief moment, like where Kenny says, "Please don't poop in my bed. Come on."
So, but on a more serious tone, what's happening with your two channels?
Well, for Eric Vierthaler 92, since I'm done with the semester, I am planning on treating my fans to a live stream here soon. Now, I know that this one's streaming on my channel, but I'm talking about like just a live stream of just me talking, to my fans and all that. And uh, I am planning on streaming a few more episodes of Let's Watch a Movie. It's just I just have to find some more public domain movies like that I haven't streamed yet. So luckily for me, January 1st of every year like is public domain day. So and then therefore, public domain day definitely is going to give me like all of like these infinite chances. Well, like to stream public domain movies. I guess next year the second Winnie the Pooh book becomes public domain. Pooh on House Corner. That actually was the first time. That actually was the first time in like when Tigger ever was introduced. So I guess what I could do now that I realize it, I guess I could do like I guess I could do like a read along of that book, because next year's gonna become up public domain, and even next year, Steamboat Willie even becomes public domain. So if I wanted to, I even could do an episode of Let's Watch a Movie for that as well. Which
I guess I can have you can have Tigger in your next things piss off movie, like things that piss off Tigger.
I mean, I guess we just gotta wait and see, I guess. But yeah,
yeah, if he can be in a horror movie, he can be in a comedy movie.
Yeah, I mean, I did hear that they are doing a Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey 2. I can guarantee you, like that Tigger's gonna show up in that one. I mean, I totally get why he couldn't show up in the first movie. It's because that Tigger wasn't public domain yet. But now that in a year Tigger will become public domain, so
he'll bounce you to death.
Yeah, bounce you to
death. Okay, what about on your Triceratops channel?
I'm planning on doing a few more debunk episodes of that. Yeah, there were just some really stupid arguments that I've heard that I've been wanting to do a debunk of. But yeah, I guess, I'm definitely going to be having my hands full with the summer. I'm going to be doing both my movie and the vampire movie, and I'm going to be working more, so I can make more money, because these lenses that I plan on getting, they're expensive, but they're used. So A, they're cheaper because of that, and two, they'll be cheaper because of the Mother's Day sale. So yeah, those lenses will be pretty expensive, so they will take a good chunk out of the budget. But if I work more, I can continue, to get more money for.
So if any of you want to get buy his lenses for him, go to our wish list below and like buy him a few lenses for his camera. You want to?
So yeah, and about that, I actually do plan on launching like a Kickstarter for the third Pissed Off movie. So yeah, so as soon as that's launched, I would greatly appreciate it because I also have been trying to save up money like to buy a house. So yeah, so
Oh yeah, definitely. Well, for me, next week I will be going over the field of intelligent design and
oh yeah,
seeing if it's really that intelligent. Was
spoiler
our body intelligent design, or do we have a lot of mistakes? We have a lot of mistakes in our human body.
spoiler alert, it's not. Yeah,
But
and I totally would love to join that, but it's just the scheduling of it. Yeah, you're gonna do that with Godless Engineer and with RJ, right?
RJ, yeah. Well, maybe you can sneak a peek. Maybe you can sneak a peek on your phone occasionally, like, "Hi, it's me. Bye."
Yeah, and
At your job, like,
yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
doing anything.
exactly.
Anyways, tune out for that, and tune out next month when Eric will come back as we talk about the Captain America trilogy.
All right, you all have a fantastic night.
All right, so I see you. Never stop learning and enjoy the randomness.
Later.
We'll see you all next time.